Yo, what is up guys? Dubois here. Just a quick preview and prediction for Daniel Dubois versus Nathan Gorman. Now this fight is for the vacant British heavyweight title. It goes down on the 13th of July and it takes place at the O2 Arena in London. Great fight on a really good card. Credit to Frank Warren for putting this on. And also credit to both fighters for putting it on the line so early. Really looking forward to this fight. And I've got to say, I'm not confident in my pick at all. And that's a good thing. To me, that means it's a good competitive fight. So I've got to say, I am really looking forward to this fight. Actually, this is one of the fights I've been looking forward to most this year. I love it when two domestic prospects get at it. With unbeaten records on the line, it just does it for me, I can't lie. I really am looking forward to this one. Now, let's talk about both fighters, their attributes and their basic stats. So Nathan Gorman, he is listed as 6'4.5" with a 73-inch reach. I've got to say, I believe he's shorter than the official height. I believe he is closer to around 6'3". But regardless, he's listed as 6'4.5" with a 73-inch reach, whereas Daniel Dubois is listed as 6'5" with a 78-inch reach. So Dubois is the taller and longer man. Dubois has a 5-inch reach advantage and also half an inch in height if you believe the official stats. So Dubois is the taller, longer man. But it is worth mentioning that Nathan Gorman usually weighs in heavier. Gorman usually weighs in around the low 250s or high 240s, whereas Daniel Dubois typically weighs in at around the high 230s. So despite Gorman being shorter and having less reach, he will, based on his career weights, be the heavier guy. And will that play a factor? Potentially. Maybe he could use that excess weight to try to lean on Dubois and make it rough and tumble. That could be a thing. Maybe he will use that weight to try to neutralise Dubois in some way. But we'll see what happens there. But yeah, essentially, Gorman is the heavier, but Dubois is taller and longer. Now let's get into the style clash of both fighters. I think this style clash is intriguing. I guess it's the typical boxer versus puncher type fight. Dubois is certainly the more aggressive guy out of the two. He likes to apply pressure, steady pressure. He'll come forwards with a ramrod jab and he'll throw that chopping right hand behind it. He likes to get up to the mid-range and work hooks to the body and head. He can also mix up a nice uppercut in there as well. Dubois, like I said, he's an aggressive guy, but he does like to mix it up. He changes levels quite well with his hooks. And yeah, in comparison to a lot of heavyweights, he does do good body work. And that could be a factor going into this fight. Nathan Gorman is seen as the mover in this one. Most people who I see talking about this fight, if they are picking Gorman, they are picking Gorman to outbox Daniel Dubois on the back foot. Now against a mover, a good body game, some good body work early on could prove to be pivotal. It could slow Gorman down into the championship rounds and it could make him a sitting duck in those later rounds. So the bodywork of Dubois in this fight could be as important as it's ever been for him, because ultimately to date Dubois has fought guys who are there to be beaten. He's fought guys who sit in front of him apart from basically Kevin Johnson. So in this fight the effectiveness of Dubois' bodywork could be shown. We'll see how effective it is. Can Dubois chase down Gorman and get him to the ropes, get him into the corners and wail away to that body? We will see. Does Dubois have quick enough feet to close the distance? We will see. Sometimes Dubois is a bit plodding. Sometimes he is predictable. You know, he'll throw the same combinations. Jab, right hand, left hook to the body, left hook to the body, left hook upstairs. Dubois' combinations are fairly predictable, and I've noticed if you take him a few rounds, he does start doing the same thing over and over and over. We saw that in the Kevin Johnson fight, and even the Richard Latte fight. So if Gorman can get through the first few rounds without too much damage, maybe he can then kind of ascertain the patterns of Dubois and then take advantage as the fight goes on. So listen, ultimately, I do believe Dubois is the more physical specimen out of the two. He hits harder. I think he's naturally stronger than Nathan Gorman. He's more explosive, and he's a solid, aggressive pressure fighter. You know, he does what he does, and he does it fairly well. Is that enough to beat a boxer/mover like Nathan Gorman? I'm not sure. Like I say, if Gorman can get through the first few rounds and pick up the patterns of Dubois, maybe then after the first 3 to 4 rounds, Gorman's boxing will then take over and you'll see Gorman countering effectively, boxing off a back foot and effectively scoring points and basically outboxing Dubois. I can see that as a real possibility. You know, Gorman can fight in that Tyson Fury mould. Not as well, obviously, but he's got a nice jab, he's got good quick hands, he's got nice reaction time, and, you know, if he chooses to box on the back foot, I do believe he can have success. I believe Gorman's quicker hands and quicker feet naturally will give Dubois problems. So if Gorman plays the outboxer, I certainly believe he can win the fight that way. And at very least, he can have success doing that. But one aspect of Gorman's game that is being underrated going into this fight is his offense. He's actually shown good offense in a few fights. When he sits down on his punches, when he's got a guy coming towards him, offering him target, he can let his hands go in good combinations. Watch the Sean Turner fight. Now, Nathan Gorman had a lot of time to prepare for that fight, and Gorman looked like $1 million. In a lot of Gorman's other fights, Gorman has fought on short notice, and maybe that's a reason why his performances haven't been as explosive as Nathan Gorman's. He's not had enough time to prepare for a lot of these guys, but against Sean Turner, when he did, he looked quite good. And Turner, yes, he can box, but, you know, Turner, he's a fighter. He's an aggressive guy who comes forwards, and look what happened to him. You know, Gorman knows what he has in front of him. He sparred countless rounds with him. Maybe Gorman will elect to trade with Dubois. You know, Dubois, when he lets go of his shots, they are fairly wide. He does have a nice chopping right hand, but typically when Dubois puts his shots together, they are mainly wide punches. They're wider punches. And don't be surprised to see Gorman get the better of the exchanges, because Gorman, I think, has quicker, shorter punches, and in an exchange they will get there first, despite him having a shorter reach. Gorman's got quicker hands, he can shorten up his punches quite well. So yeah, don't be surprised if Gorman decides to exchange. Don't be surprised to see him have success and maybe even knock out Daniel Dubois. When I come to think of it, I believe Nathan Gorman has more tools in the toolbox than Daniel Dubois. Is he physically as impressive? No. Does he hit as hard as Dubois? No. Is he as tall and long as Dubois? No. But ultimately, I believe this guy has more tools in the toolbox, and I am leaning towards him winning this fight. I believe Nathan Gorman will up the levels, and I believe Nathan Gorman will pull out a performance to beat Daniel Dubois. And I believe Nathan Gorman is going to knock out Daniel Dubois as well. I am not sure when, but yeah, I believe Nathan Gorman will knock out Daniel Dubois. I think his quicker hands, his quicker feet will be a big problem for Dubois in this fight. So yeah, I've got Gorman by knockout, and that may surprise some people. In my previous live streams, I've been leaning towards Dubois, but I have to confess, as this fight has got closer, I've begun to lean towards Nathan Gorman a bit more. But that's not really a confident pick, I can't lie. I'm not confident in that pick at all. And like I said earlier, that just goes to show that this is a great fight. It really is a good fight, and again, credit to both guys for putting it on the line, because both of these guys could have waited to make this fight, but they didn't. So fair play to both. We moan when fights don't happen, so credit to these boys for putting it all on the line. Enough respect. But share your thoughts on this fight. How do you see it going? Are you picking Dubois? Are you picking Gorman? Share your thoughts below. Peace.